All right, we are live, and we're live on Instagram. So if there's anybody watching, hello, how are you?
Good afternoon.
Yeah. So I'm Alan Liska, and my brother Ben and I run Green Archer Comics. Say hi, Ben.
Hello there.
Cool. And Chris is the one who did most of the writing for our issue, which we really appreciate. The first issue of Buck Rogers, which is live on Kickstarter. And so you we'd definitely love it if you'd back it while you're watching this watch along. This is a brand. This is a brand new. See if that works. Hey, there you go. Look at that. That's the URL to back us on Kickstarter. So this is a brand new platform for us. So kind of forgive us a little bit. We're kind of getting used to this. We're learning on the fly a little bit. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to grab your comments and add them in as you share. Again, assuming anybody's watching. But I do want to give a little bit of background before we get started watching. This is the 1939 Buck Rogers movie serial. I learn how many people don't know what a movie serial is. So back the day when you had your feature and the movie that was broken up into a bunch of different parts, serialized. Buck Rogers. Although this was the only Buck Rogers serial made, there were a bunch of Flash Gordon serials, Superman, Batman, kind of all of the
Did Alan freeze?
Yeah, Alan's stream seems to have frozen.
Well, this is awkward.
It is, but
he had obviously prepared these remarks, so I don't know. Let me message him real quick.
no, I've never actually seen any of these serials in their entirety, so this would be kind of a new experience for me. I know the concept, of course, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how they play out.
Yeah. I may have cheated a little bit and looked ahead a little bit, but I know also like the serials. Oh, Alan is definitely having connectivity issues. So I know the serials were a big influence on George Lucas writing Star Wars as well. So it's very interesting to see a lot of that DNA show up in the serial. So
That's what I'm looking forward to. I know Lucas he would lift things directly from the old serial, so I'm wondering if I'll see anything I instantly recognize. That'll be fun.
Yeah, if you're interested in that, and sorry guys, we're stalling for time till Alan gets back in and can lead the stream again. But I read a great book about the entire writing process and development process for the Star Wars series. That absolutely fascinating from a writing perspective, and like the changes he had to make in the original plans and all of that stuff. So,
well, the original drafts were way overstuffed. They had like all the journal of the wills and all this other really convoluted elements.
Yeah, so it was definitely, and like it was like originally supposed to be like you could watch any of them in any order, and then I think he realized it was a big undertaking to do, so they became more of a like connected story.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, most of my experience, and I think we talked about this a little bit previously, most of my experience with Buck Rogers was the TV show. So getting to
Same.
go back and look at the original has been absolutely fascinating. Reading the original
Yeah.
book.
Because the original was so different than that 70s TV show. Or do you remember the Buck Rogers role-playing game from TSR?
I don't think I remember. I don't have. I never played it. And I've never seen a copy of it, but I know it exists.
I'm about the same way, but I remember reading old Dragon magazine articles about it and supplements and some of the kind of behind the scenes politicking that Lorraine, I think her name was Lorraine Williamson. She was the CEO of TSR at the time, and she had the rights to it. We're back on.
We're back on.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's raining, so of course Verizon decides to go out on. Able to continue without me, or
well, we just kind of mugged for the camera for a while and talked about our experience with Buck Rogers movie serials.
Yeah, we wanted to avoid dead air as much as we could.
Oh, are you frozen again? Let's check. Yeah, he's not sure he's in. He's definitely looks like we had some issues.
Okay.
Oh wait.
Oh, wait, we're back.
Or did we just lose the movie? We just lost the video stream. Yeah.
Yeah, this is why none of us are working for OnlyFans.
Oh, that's not the only reason.
Yeah, exactly.
No, despite I actually have behind me. I have a vast collection of tabletop RPGs, and Buck Rogers is not one that I have sought out and picked up yet. So,
no, but having worked on it, it's now something I kind of want to find.
Right, exactly.
Like next time I go to like Half Price or something, it's something I'm going to specifically look for. Maybe I'll get lucky.
Yeah. Or like if you go to like a thrift sale or a secondhand another secondhand bookstore, I do troll eBay for various RPGs that I want to get. So it is an expensive hobby, unfortunately.
It is. Have you found anything interesting lately?
Let's see here. Not used old ones. I recently picked up the digital version of the game Fabula Ultima, which is a tabletop RPG version of Japanese role-playing games. So
I've seen that. Got some beautiful art to it.
It does. It's got a very interesting system for character building and things like that. So, and then obviously, like, yeah, I think that's the latest one I got. Yeah. I've been pretty good lately. I've been pretty good.
Yeah.
Mostly I've been buying comics too, because now I make comics apparently. So I have to kind of like read myself up and get into the habit of keeping track of that from a story perspective.
Is there any favorite authors you like in comics?
I'm not well read enough to really pick out my absolute favorites. I like my absolute favorite comic is Kingdom Come, Alex Ross's Kingdom Come. Yeah, and I have the absolute version up here. And then he did there's a follow-up. It's not really a follow-up exactly, but a few years ago they did a series called Justice, which is the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, it was a kind of more serious, modernized version of Super Friends. It was really good.
It was really good, and like there are a lot of hints that it's almost a sort of tie-in to Kingdom Come. So I really like that. For like the big two, and like I always like Elseworlds. I know some
Yeah,
people don't like
because
Elseworlds because they're like, oh, it's not main continuity. I'm like, yeah, but you get to do fun things.
exactly. You don't have to worry about keeping the characters alive or marketable past
Hmm.
the initial story. You can just go wild.
Yep.
Have you read Age of Apocalypse? It's one of the best Elseworld stories ever done.
So I have not read. I have not read Age of Apocalypse. It's like I said, my comicking kind of peaked in like I want to say it wasn't even that strong because I needed a ride to the comic book store, and then I kind of went out when I had to start start buying comics with my own money, and then just slowly get back in. So yeah, but I haven't read Age of Apocalypse, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It's really spectacular. It's beautiful art, some of the best art of the late 90s, and just again, the story was really unpredictable because you didn't have to worry about making the characters survive past the initial arc.
Yeah. So just so you know, Alan is going to an alternate location where he hopes the internet will be better. He should be back in shortly. But one of my favorite Elseworlds that I recently rediscovered that I have up there, and it's not good necessarily, but it's a very interesting tank. It's a Green Lantern 1001 Emerald Knights, where the rings are actually
I,
manifested as Djinn lamps.
oh, that sounds cool. I've heard of it, but I've never read that one. That one sounds good.
Yeah. So that's one of I was going through as I was cleaning some stuff up, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I had this. And then Batman Superman Generations, I specifically remember reading that one where they aged them up
That one was
appropriately.
that was interesting, but like John Bryan, the author of that, he has kind of a reputation as a deeply weird individual. He did some great stories, but as he got older, he got very strange, and
Well,
that one had a lot of strange choices to it.
it did, yeah. I recall it having very strange choices. Um, what about you? Have any favorite comic runs or favorite
I,
issues?
I came into comics mostly. The first ones I read were like GI Joe and Iron Man back in the '80s,
Okay.
and I liked them because they kind of reminded me of the James Bond movies I'd grown up watching. They were highly skilled people with cool gadgets and technology and weapons, not a lot of like mutants or magic or anything. And
Um,
Larry Hama's GI Joe is just great.
yeah. Are you catching the new run? I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I've picked up a handful of issues here and there. I mostly just wait for the trades to come out these days. I have a very small collection of individual issues.
Yeah. That is another thing is like do you do because I've kind of gotten into individual issues, but then like I also enjoy just being able to like I just read for the first time, and I know everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, I can't believe Ben's never read this. Astro City. So I read the first volume of Astro City just a week or so ago, and it was fantastic. And I was like, I've been sitting on this for too long. So now, in addition to all of my like catching up on classic pulps, it's catching up on classic comics.
It's good. Astro City is a good series. It was one of the better '90s ones.
Yeah,
I I really like the X-Men stuff going back years.
yeah.
Couple of authors like Chris Claremont, Alan Moore. Uh, there are some really good writers out there for comics.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Like there are very talented people working in the industry, both indie and mainstream stuff. And obviously Claremont's run on the X-Men is world renowned. It's just keeping X-Men continuity straight can get a little
Yeah,
daunting. But
yeah. There's a it's a big animal.
yeah, it really is. Although and so I always my favorite X-Men. Okay, so I have people. Who's your favorite X-Men or member of the X-Men team? And as is, I really enjoy Colossus. Okay, but my I want him to be better is Cyclops. I'm always like Cyclops deserves better treatment in the X-Men, at least current run. So
He does. But there are some good runs for him. I liked the later part of the first X Factor run. He got really good characterization.
oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. I'll add it to the list.
Yeah. There's, I think it's a 5 or 6 issue arc called the Judgment War around issue 50 of X Factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Paul Smith does the art, and they fight Celestials. It is probably one of the best X-Men stories ever. It's really good.
Oh, cool. Oh, I'll have to. Hold on, let me make a list.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm currently reading right now. I'm reading. The main things I'm reading are the Ghost Machine, Red Coat.
That looks so good. Yes.
It is a lot of fun because the main character is not a good person, and it kind of does a mystic twist on U.S. history, and so it's got a lot of that in it, and I'm very much enjoying that. I think I'm a couple issues behind because my comic shop stopped carrying it because of the whole Diamond thing. So, and then the same with Conan.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying the current Conan run, but the comic shop I usually go to doesn't carry it anymore because of the whole Diamond thing, and I want to pick up Solomon Kane.
Solomon Kane looks pretty good, cool too. That's another one I'm waiting for the trade on.
Yeah, because I've recently rediscovered how much I enjoy the original Robert E. Howard stories, and so I'd like, and I think it's Jim Zub's doing Conan. He's doing a fantastic job on it, just absolutely solid.
Have you heard of a comic called Project Superpowers? It's by a writer who often works with Alex Ross, and it does kind of the same thing Green Archer is doing. It's literally brings back all the public domain World War II heroes and puts them in a modern context.
Oh, that's cool. No,
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of it, but I'm definitely going to check it out. Oh, is that, I think I heard someone talk about this on a stream the other night, about this. I think, I don't know if they used a different name or not, but it looks very familiar. But that definitely looks like something I want to get into. So I'll add that to the list. I've got like 30 Chrome tabs open, so I'm surprised my internet didn't crash.
No, it's a solid book, and when I heard you guys were doing the same thing, revamping and modernizing old public domain properties, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's a little two different companies doing something similar.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously the Green Archer is an even more obscure public domain hero than any of the other ones that are in the Project Superpowers. But it has been a lot of fun to kind of take that and put a spin on it and do fun stuff with it.
Do you have plans for any more like Golden Age revamps?
I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about because despite what Alan says, I do not run Green Archer comics. I am his emotional support editor brother. So he brings me along on podcasts so we can bounce off each other and we can run the camera when his internet goes out. But I don't think we have, hold on. Do we have something in mind? We've got a couple of things coming down. Not necessarily superheroes. There's one superhero related thing coming down that I don't think he's announced yet. And then there's another public domain, not a superhero, that we're looking at having some fun with.
Very cool.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about because I don't want to spoil anything. And if the schedule gets shifted around, depending on, because a lot of it is a little behind the scenes action for people. Like if Alan tables at a con and he consistently sees that something is working for people, they're picking it up, then the next issue of that might get bumped up in the order so that it doesn't lose momentum.
That definitely makes sense. How far out do you guys plan your releases and stuff? It sounds fairly loose, but do you have like a monthly, yearly plan?
Alan generally like so. And again, I don't know if I'm supposed to, this isn't like a huge secret. Alan's trying to do one Kickstarter a quarter so that he's not kickstarting a book like every other month. And, people get Kickstarter fatigue from backing a creator that they like and a book that they like. But like, it's still, you don't want to do it too often. You don't want to go to the well too much. Hold on one second. Let's see. Okay. So he said 5. He'll be 5 minutes.
Okay.
But that's Alan time. So that could be anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. So, so he doesn't want to do too much of that. So usually what he'll do is he'll plan out the Kickstarters, and that's what, and he will shift them if it looks like something's not working. So if Kickstarter doesn't do as well or something like that, he'll kind of shift the Kickstarter plan around. And then every once in a while, he will just come up with an idea and we'll just make it happen. So if you look at Cryptid Hacker Force, which was a lot of fun to write, it was a lot of fun to work on. That was just and actually I think the Press Guardian and the Clock team up was another thing that he just wanted to do. And so rather than kickstart it and rather than do that, and it also depends on artist availability. So if the artist we want for a project isn't available, then we move it around and, stuff like that. Or we, look at a different artist, not because we don't like the one artist, but just because the schedule doesn't work out.
It's just availability.
Yeah. And that's a nice thing about being a small operation is that it's a little bit easier to pivot. So, and he has like 3 or 4 artists that he loves going to, and they're great. Absolutely love them. So, if if one's busy, then we can maybe use the other one, things like that. Hey, you're back.
Oh, here we come.
I was just spilling all of the company's secrets, like all of them, financials, Swiss bank accounts, everything, just pouring it out there on the internet.
I hope you were, and I hope it went really well. I am at Green Archer Comics World Headquarters. So, and let me pause that.
Okay.
So
you have much better internet at the office.
Exactly. Apparently our whole neighborhood is down, which is perfect timing. But I also don't have my fancy webcam, so this is all natural.
Oh yeah, no filter, baby.
But yeah, Ben, go ahead and continue what you were saying, and I'll add to it because it was spot on.
Oh yeah, so yeah, we were just talking about the ability to pivot with being a smaller company, and generally you like to do like 4 Kickstarters a year so people don't get Kickstarter fatigue, and you can shift what gets kickstarted and what doesn't, and then every once in a while something just tickles your fancy and you lock it in and you just make it happen. So like as a tabletop RPG gamer, plan is just a 4-letter word. It's just a collection of things that don't happen. So, we plan. I don't know how much planning actually. No, you do a lot of planning, but it's all flexible.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely do a lot of planning, but there are some things that I'm just every now and then. Yeah, it's like, hey, this is cool, and we have an artist that can do it, so let's go ahead and make it happen. So one of the things I'm really excited about is there's a book by Rudolph Fisher called The Conjure Man Dies, and it stars John Archer. So that immediately caught my attention because the guy's name has an Archer in it. But he is considered by many to be the first Black detective, in fiction. And we ran into this amazing artist at AwesomeCon, and who would do really well with this because the original story is set in 1929 Harlem, and you've got that very much Harlem aesthetic from that time period. And this guy does great work with that. And so, we've been kind of working in the background to develop that and then turn that into, a story for next year. So some of it is, I want things that fit in with our theme, but some of it is, hey, this is really weird. And what's really bad is when it's a slow con for Ben and I, because that's when we start planning our like, you know, riffing on comics. So it's like, oh, hey, we didn't make any money. Let's go invest money in a new comic now. All right. So now that we have good internet, or I have good internet, you all have had good internet. Hopefully, we can keep you around for 21 more minutes. One of the things that I found really interesting about this serial that we're about to watch is that Buster Crabbe was like the Christopher Pratt of his day, because the dude played Tarzan, Flash Gordon, and Buck Rogers. And, you know, before going on to star in a bunch of Westerns and stuff like that, like anytime there was like a lead male that they needed, they brought in Buster Crabbe to work it. And he also made a cameo on the Buck Rogers show from the 1970s/80s. He played a captain in there, and I thought that was kind of a cool little nod to him. So if you ever look him up, you can find him on you can find him out on there. And then his co-star here, Constance Moore, also reunited with Buster Crabbe in 1953 for Planet Outlaws, which was another black and white sci-fi movie. Total B movie schlock, but a lot of fun. So, as I understand it, Chris, you haven't watched this yet. Is that correct?
That's right. I wanted to go into this cold.
All right. Well, then let's not spoil it anymore. And for anybody still watching, we really appreciate it. We're really excited, and let's get going. Any point you guys want to pause and make a comment on, feel free. And let's watch our show. One of the things that I like about this is all the credits are out front. You know, nothing at the end like the old ones. They want to get the names out there first because nobody was staying till the end. But it is interesting. So if you look here, Buck Rogers, this is based actually on the Buck Rogers comic strip, not the original story. And you'll see that Phil Nolan, who wrote the original stories, of course, wrote the comic book. But early in Buck Rogers' comic history or comic strip history, Dick Calkins still went by Lieutenant Dick Calkins. So he had retired from the Army, but he still used the honorarium lieutenant because he obviously could. Eventually, he decided he didn't need that anymore and just was Dick Calkins. But you can still see the remnants of his time in World War I was still with him when this debuted.
Westmore Observatory, calling dirigible Chandro. Westmore Observatory, calling dirigible Chandro.
Not scared, are you, buddy?
Well, I guess I was a little scared before you got above that blizzard.
Keep a secret?
Yes, sir.
So was I.
Well, I'm still scared. What for? We're up so high we can hardly breathe. We're about to run out of oxygen.
Westmore Observatory, calling dirigible Chandro.
Flying too low now. Think on any more ice and snow.
Calling dirigible Chandro. Westmore Observatory, calling dirigible Chandro.
Good, they finally found us. Braden, take the controls. Dirigible Chandro answering. Go ahead, Westmore.
I've contacted Miss Buck's voice.
Hello, Chandro. Is that Lieutenant Rogers speaking?
Buck Rogers to you, Professor.
Hello, Dad. We're having a swell time.
Are you all right, Buck? Where are you?
Okay so far, sir. Still riding above the blizzard.
What's your exact position?
Can't say. Within about 300 miles, sir, on account of drift. Holding about 40,000 feet elevation. Have to stay here until we ride out the storm area. Think we can do it. Breathing is getting hard. Running low on oxygen, sir.
I'm going to drop down a couple of thousand feet. I've got to have air.
Bunch of wimps needing to have oxygen. How dare they? Buck Rogers don't need no oxygen. He's able to just breathe whatever air they're going to give him up there. So, so Chris, what do you think about this as the start of an origin story versus what you read in the novel or in the shorts, as well as, of course, what we did in the comic?
I assume he's going to crash and be entombed in ice like Captain America in a few minutes.
Actually, there's something a little different. But that was my first thought too when I watched it. I'm like, oh, we're going to do a Captain America thing here, like 2 years before Captain America debuted.
Exactly.
That would be really interesting. But
well,
all right,
I like it. It seems a little bit more dynamic than the Mine Origin, because the Mine Origin, my biggest question is, okay, what is this weird gas that puts them to suspended animation? Why is it there? Is it found anywhere else in the world? Is anybody else been suspended? It leads to a lot of questions that you could follow up on future issues, but this is definitely more dynamic.
Right. Hey, Ben, I think Chris just gave us the sequel. What if we like a Demolition Man? What if we have a Wesley Snipes in a mine in another?
Oh yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely going to happen.
And you know, and I always have to be careful.
Well,
Ben and I love our Nazis. So if we had a Nazi miner get trapped in gas.
Nope, wrong era.
We could do something with that, but I would do something from after Buck is suspended. So sometime in the alternate 60s or alternate 70s, like 40 years after he's suspended, some, tyrant warlord of the barbaric earth, post-apocalyptic, nuclear war raider guy with a hockey mask and spikes, something like that. A little bit more fun than a Nazi.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I love the way these ideas flow. Hey, anybody who's watching this, you may be seeing part 2 of Buck Rogers, depending on how successful our Kickstarter is, being formed as we speak. So let's find out what happened and how Buck gets suspended.
Go for it.
Throw out ballast. We're losing altitude. We're going down where we can breathe. Are you fool? We're loading down with ice. Maybe too late now to get this weight.
No, Professor. We've dropped down into the storm. Buck's trying to climb out, but he can't make it.
So I want to say I did look this up, and apparently dirigibles in the 1930s were not pressurized. So this is a very real thing where if you went too high up, you just didn't have oxygen.
What are you going to do? Bail out before we crash! Stop him, Mitchell. He'll freeze to death before he lands. It's better than dying in here like rats.
Do you think there's any chance for them, Professor? I'm afraid they're likely to crash, but there is one chance. Hello, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Then listen carefully. Do you remember that tank of Navano gas I put aboard just before you took off?
Yes, sir, I do.
If you're forced down, will you promise me to turn the lever on that tank as far to the right as you can, buddy?
Yes, sir, I will.
No, I don't get it. What is Navano gas? It's a recent discovery of the professor's.
Mr. Exposition right here, helping to...
A gas that induces suspended animation.
Suspended animation? Well, that's a lot of hokum, isn't it? Like perpetual motion and...
Show it.
You see that dog? He's been in there nearly 3 months.
Huh. What's strange about that? He's dead, isn't he?
He's neither dead nor alive for the time being.
Sad music.
What do you expect the dog to do? Come to life?
Here, feel of his heart.
Why, it's starting to beat.
I put a tank of that gas aboard the Chandro as a precautionary measure. If they were forced down in some inaccessible spot, I hoped it would sustain their lives until relief ships could rescue them.
If that glass container is filled with that gas that puts everybody to sleep, shouldn't they all now be entering a state of suspended animation?
Well, my curiosity is...
Well, hopefully they vented it.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about what the other thing the guy was going to say. That's just hokum, like perpetual motion, and then he gets cut off, and I'm like, really curious what he was going to put in there. Was it something that that got undebunked or something like that? Like
something that you can actually make nuclear power or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering. Okay, the suspended animation will help them, I guess, wait until rescue, but it's not going to do anything about a crash. I mean, there's some flaws in the professor's logic here.
There's a whole lot of flaws to the intro in general, but yeah, I think we could pick apart the. So I actually, definitely agree with you, Chris. I really like the whole dirigible thing and the way they approach this. Ben, what do you think about this as like a Buck Rogers intro compared to what was in the original stories?
I mean, it's definitely an interesting take, and I'm always a fan of dirigibles whenever they show up because it makes me think of like Art Deco, stuff like that, and like even like if you look at like Fringe, the alternate timeline in the Fringe season, they had dirigibles and stuff. So, I like I said, the scientific accuracy of what's about to happen, because I have cheated and I have watched ahead, notwithstanding. Like, I think it's fine. I think it establishes him as a pilot. So like he knows what he's doing when he's behind the wheel of an airship and all that stuff. And I guess they had a bunch of dirigible miniatures available to do it. So
and I wonder, if these obviously these serials were made on a much cheaper budget, even less expensive than a movie budget of that time. And so, they probably had to reuse sets, and maybe they didn't have a mining set that they could reuse. So, look, we'll deal with the dirigibles because we have them here and they're cheap to do. Plus, if you're doing something futuristic, I'm guessing at the time dirigibles felt futuristic. Now we just think of them as things that show up at football games.
No. Well, that's
or explode horribly.
Or explode horribly. I'm sorry, Ben. What were you saying?
I was going to say, like, technically, isn't Goodyear a blimp, not a dirigible?
That's true.
There is a difference between them. I don't know the exact technical specifications, but
and I am with you. I do not know the difference between the two. But there is a difference between a blimp and a dirigible.
Now I'm going to look that up after the show.
Okay.
Exactly.
Professor!
What is it, buddy?
Buck says we're gonna crash. Goodbye, Dad.
Ask Buck for his approximate latitude and longitude.
Buck, Professor Morgan wants to know your approximate latitude.
What's happened? Hello, Chandro.
Hurt bad, buddy. Motion back marks.
Okay, so the difference between a dirigible and a blimp is that a blimp is entirely built on gas pressure. So if the gas lets go, it loses its shape, whereas a dirigible holds its shape. Now, maybe not in a crash like that, but it does make this crash more plausible.
Right.
Because it wouldn't just, oh, there's a puncture in it, so now it loses its shape and you just have the gondola left. Again, I'm not saying it's plausible, but it is a more plausible result than if it had been a blimp.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Hello. Sandro just crashed.
Give me your latitude and longitude, and turn on the Navano gas.
Gas is turned on, sir. Latitude about 70 knots, sir. Longitude.
You were right, Lacey. It's the remains of some ancient type of spaceship.
Wonder why we never saw it before. I've flown over this place 100 times.
It's probably covered with ice most of the year. Let's take a closer look. We'll use our disintegrator pistols.
Hey, we did that. So hold on a second. Can I pause? Okay, yeah, I have control. Okay, so real quick for people who backed, I guess it's everyone watching the stream. We have a scene. It's a beautiful panel where a couple of the rebels do just that, where they use the disintegrator pistol. The first time I saw it, I was like, "We did that," and it looks great.
Yeah. Again,
and I did not know about this.
And right, and so in full disclosure, none of us watched this before we wrote the script. This, so there are some other similarities that we're going to run into that are purely coincidental.
Like some sort of gas.
Certainly use an end.
Although I am shocked that the gas could survive for 500 years from that one little tank, but
also since the thing isn't pressurized.
Right, exactly. Since it's not pressurized and clearly not air sealed, but again,
hand wave. Was it Don Belisario from Quantum Leap calls it hand wavium?
Right.
That's definitely a two-man lift, guys.
What was that?
That very unconvincing girder. I said that's definitely a two-man lift.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of every episode of Star Trek I've ever seen where the ship gets damaged and someone was trapped. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I got you. It's a tradition going back this far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do see a lot of the tropes of, not just from Buck Rogers, but from these serials that wind up in our sci-fi going forward.
They're in a perfect state of preservation. Must have been frozen since the ship crashed. That's strange. Body's almost natural temperature.
Let's get them out of here. This gas is making me drowsy.
Well, take hold of his feet. White! He's alive!
Sure, I'm alive. What's wrong with you?
Could have used a little better lighting in this scene.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Buck Rogers' comic strip, Buddy Wade was actually Wilma Deering's brother in the original time, in the original comic, and he is a well-known fixture in the comics. So he doesn't come from the past, but he was super popular in the kind of the way Robin became super popular as part of Batman. And so I'm sure they wanted to figure out a way to include him in this movie. So this is a completely different origin story for him. But the comic strip would have been running for 10 years now. So they definitely had to include him because he was so popular.
It's a funny looking you.
He's also not in the public domain yet, so
no touchy.
Don't use him. No touchy.
No touchy.
Buddy. Yeah. Buddy, snap out of it. He's all right. Professor Morgan's gas sure did the trick. How long have you been looking for us?
Why we weren't looking for you?
Well, that doesn't make any difference. You found us anyway.
I think we'd better take him to Professor Hure. Our patrol ship is beyond that point of rocks.
Now, wait a minute.
March. I don't get it.
Rocket engines in the 30s sounded very different than they do in today's movies.
A little bit like a lawnmower with
a
a sparkler in it. That's okay.
Yeah, it's special effects by the flea market stand outside of town.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I forgive it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
It's like watching classic Doctor Who. Like, no, man, it's all right.
Well, and let's be honest, you hadn't experienced a real rocket ship yet, so you weren't exactly sure what they were going to sound like.
This ship's at least 100 years ahead of anything I ever saw.
I wonder how fast we're going.
About 1,000 miles an hour at least.
Polar Patrol, calling Operations Office. Polar Patrol, calling Operations Office. Operations Office. Go ahead, Polar Patrol.
Golly, they sure dial in quick.
Put this call through to Scientist General Hure. It is urgent. One moment. Go ahead.
Captain Rankin speaking. We're approaching the city with 2 prisoners found in a dirigible.
A dirigible? That's impossible. Such ships haven't been used since the 20th century.
20th century? What does he mean?
I don't know.
again, not to quibble too much. I'm sure pilots know a lot about pilot history, but would pilots from the 24th or 25th century be aware of what a dirigible even was? Like that doesn't feel like that would be common knowledge.
No, maybe not, but
Yeah.
I guess it would be like a modern tank crew finding an ancient cavalry guy still preserved, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Ship was frozen on the tip of Bering Glacier. Prisoners were in a state of suspended animation when we found them.
Bring them directly to me when you land. That is all.
It is kind of a badass looking ship, though.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
What do you think, Chris?
It's pretty nice. Do you remember the old Tom and Jerry cartoons when they have the futuristic Tom and Jerry, the robot cat and the robot rat?
Yeah,
that kind of looks like the robot rat.
And I'm assuming that I'm assuming that they cribbed a lot from from these old serials as well.
Buck, we're gonna crack up.
No, look, buddy.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Scientist General suspects her. You're to come directly to his headquarters. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Need to pause and thank one of the people watching who just backed the campaign. Thank you very much.
Oh, fantastic.
Come along, man.
Excellent.
Come on.
Okay, that's cool.
What did you like about it?
Well, it prefigures the Star Trek beam out really well. I mean, it's 30 years before, but it's doing the same thing. It's got a similar aesthetic, and it's just nice to see.
And it's more consistent because you have to go from teleport pad to teleport pad as opposed to, being able to teleport just anywhere.
Exactly. And I really hope there aren't any flies in there. That'll be a whole other sci-fi movie.
It's the 25th century. We've gotten rid of all flies.
Oh God, I wish.
Probably.
Necessary insects only.
Professor Ure. So what kind of an elevator is that anyway?
By radioactivity, it breaks down the atoms of the body to their component parts, and reversing polarity reassembles them wherever desired.
Same sci-fi mistake everybody makes. Don't explain it, because then we can just pick it apart, man. Just go with it. Hand wave.
Exactly. It's magic, man.
What's that?
It's magic. Just go with it.
Take my place, Lieutenant.
But I do think that's in line with the Philip Nolan stories, where he definitely wanted to over-explain how everything worked. You get
that man loves technobabble.
Yes, exactly. So I think in line with that, they definitely, are they're definitely in line with that kind of aesthetic from the original.
Well, and so we were talking about prefiguring Star Trek and the original series, the stories for Buck Rogers, where they have the quasi-socialism that you end up with in the Federation in the American Rebellion section of the country. So like I was like, oh, it's Star Trek's post-scarcity socialist messaging. So
Yeah.
Well, and I think there was a lot of that in 1920s sci-fi, which would kind of make sense because it was right before the Great Depression, when there seemed to be a lot in abundance and everybody was making money and stuff like that. So we were heading toward a post-scarcity, and then suddenly we very much weren't.
yes.
Follow our spaceship through the telebuy. How did you come to be in that dirigible?
I was in command. We'd taken off from New York and were making a transpolar flight around the world when...
What year was that?
1938.
1938? Impossible. Let me verify that. (1938). There was such an expedition. Your name, please.
Buck Rogers. Lieutenant Rogers officially.
And yours, my boy?
My name is George Wade, but I'm usually called Buddy.
Navano gas. That explains it then. Rankin, we are witnesses to a scientific miracle.
Looking that up in a book, huh?
That's a
He's got a big book of dirigible flights.
That's like the Gray Sports Almanac of Buck Rogers right there.
Right. Slip that in your back pocket and start putting bets when you go back in time. Missed a little bit of the information age there, but but it's an impressive book, and that you just happen to have a book of all the dirigible.
Well, you can't hack a book, so
Exactly.
that information is secure.
Can't hack a book. Unfortunately, you can burn a book.
That is true.
But I don't think they have to worry about that in their part of the world.
By means of a gas discovered by Professor Morgan, these two people have remained in a state of suspended animation for 500 years.
500 years?
That makes me old enough to be my own great-grandfather.
But, Professor Huer, that's impossible, sir.
Dr. Hugh.
Somebody needs to have a talk, the talk with Buddy.
Exactly.
Killer Kane has captured another of our pilots.
You may save yourself considerable discomfort by telling me where to find the entrance to the hidden city.
I do not remember.
I think I know a way to make you remember.
Is he an evil mariachi?
I'm sorry?
He looks like an evil mariachi.
Yeah.
he, a little bit, yeah. It is a thing.
Yeah, little over the top with the with the outfits, but I mean, you don't know what people are going to dress like in the future.
Exactly.
I think Ultraman directly pulled these graphics for its opening, at least the 1960 series.
Cool.
Look into that instrument. Look into it. Those men were once pilots of Dr. Huer's ships. Now they are living robots. Men robbed of all willpower while they wear the helmets I had designed for them. Shall I have you measured for a robot's helmet? Or will you tell me where the entrance to the hidden city is?
And there is Buck Roger predicting VR goggles.
I do not remember.
Take him away.
Hold on one second. Can we talk about Robot? And
yes,
Robot.
Yeah, Robot. Like I know there's another streamer I follow that pronounces it that way, and it always pulls me right out, and I'm like, what the? That's not how you say that. It's like when I talk to the people on the Awesome Comics pod or listen to the Awesome Comics podcast, and they've got some weird pronunciations over there across the pond.
Yeah. And throw in random U's into their words.
It's true. It's true. They're monsters.
But Yeah, it is weird hearing them kind of pronounce words that we kind of have accepted as this is the way it's pronounced. But back then, I don't know, because it wasn't it Asimov that first came up with the term robot, or was it earlier?
No, it was a Russian guy, Rostov. He did a play, or no, the character was Rostov. I don't remember the playwright, but it was Rostov's Automatic Robots.
Oh, okay,
And
got
that
it.
was, I think, early 1900s. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head.
All right, so AI is telling me that it's Rossum's Universal Robots, 1920.
Okay.
Karl Kapek. There's a weird symbol over the C. So
I think he's Polish, so I think I don't know how it would be pronounced.
Got it. So, I mean, 18 years of the use of the word robot, and you know, I imagine there is still some debate over how you'd properly pronounce it, and apparently there still is, according to the streamer Ben watches.
Well, what I noticed about this is, okay, they've got the brainwashing helmet, so you've got the pilots enslaved and they're turned into servitors, but there's a way you can easily reverse it, and Buck can rescue them later in a later act. That's pretty clever.
Well, we're not going to get to that anyway, but yes.
Yeah.
What were you say, Ben?
Oh, nothing. No, it is a clever setup for Buck being able to rescue them.
Right.
I don't understand, sir. Who is this man called Killer Kane?
He is the result of the stupidity of the men of your century. You failed to stamp out lawlessness, and in the end, the criminal became stronger than the law. Racketeers, you call them. Today, they rule the world as cruelly as they ruled their gangs in your day.
Isn't it?
So this is the part when I first watched it, I texted Ben and said he had to watch it because basically this is our plot line, but we went cyber criminals instead of racketeers, but basically the same concept. And I'm like, damn it. How could you steal this from us? You know, and I appreciate the fact that they didn't go with the racism angle that the short stories did.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that is some real powerful,
real vintage racism. Yeah.
Right.
Real, just like, man, right out there. Okay.
Right. Exactly. But I mean, so I guess they had the same concern then that we have now, that the racketeers were running amok, and for me, in the world that I live in my day job, the cyber criminals running amok, and we don't seem to be able to stop them. The next logical step is they wind up taking over the world.
Yep, and you kind of reverse that also in the Green Archer Press Guardian 1942 team up, where you had the precursor to cybercrime as wire fraud. So you had that as an angle in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. You're expanding your collection behind you. I appreciate that. You have to do more podcasts.
Any chance of help from an outside source?
Only from men on some other planet.
Another planet? That doesn't sound very hopeful.
It could be, but our spaceships seem unable to slip through Kane's air blockade. We've lost 5 thus far trying it.
You mean you actually have ships that can travel from planet to planet?
Of course.
If you have ships that can travel that far, I think I know a way of running that blockade.
Well, if you have any plans, I'm ready to listen to them. But to me, it seems much hopeless.
Am I right, Marshal Craig, in assuming that you can operate a plane from the ground at such a distance, mind you, by means of radio?
That's correct, Rogers.
Well then, sir, why don't you send up such a ship as a decoy? While Kane's patrol is following it, I can...
We've already lost too many ships and crews. We can't afford to try it.
It seems to me you can't afford not to try it, sir.
Rogers is right, Marshal. Unless we get help from Saturn, our cause is lost.
Very well, sir. You're in charge.
Thank you very much.
Lieutenant Deering, you will go with Rogers to establish a means of communication with Saturn, if you do get through to that planet.
Real quick. So just I noticed, like, okay, so you've been here for 5 whole minutes. you're in charge. Wilma, you've been my assistant for how long? Secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like the only thing we know about Buck is he crashed, and he's going to be leading the aerosol.
He crashed, but he survived, and that's the important thing.
I do appreciate in the original story that there was an effort for maybe not equality, but Buck was continually impressed with how the women fought alongside the men or took lead or whatever, and Wilma Deering was a leader in the first story. And I hate the fact that she's more sidelined in this serial, but if you're going to make a mainstream a movie like this at the time, unfortunately that was what it was going to be. And the comic strips, she is much more sidelined than in the serials, or sorry, than in the original short stories.
Okay.
When we finally get our main Green Archer headquarters, it will open exactly like that.
I would hope so.
Yes.
Well, this is like the first sliding mountain facade in fiction like this? Because this prefigures the Batcave, it prefigures the Boulder Hill play set in the 80s Mask toy line, other things like that.
I know because I think they used something similar in the 1936 Flash Gordon.
Oh no, he froze again.
Oh,
are you losing me?
You froze for a second.
Oh, just a second. Okay, I can live with that. I do think that they used a similar setup in the 1936 Flash Gordon serial. I'd have to go back and check. But yeah, it is very early on in when we would expect to see these kind of things.
It's a cool effect.
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Look, another one of their spaceships.
Patrol ship 7-4 calling 60,000-foot patrol.
How far up is 60,000 feet? Like, are we in the are we above the atmosphere?
I don't think so, because I think dirigibles could operate at 60,000 feet.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of meters. I don't know how far up. What does a plane fly these days?
I'm not sure.
Let's check it out.
It's 60,000 feet is the lower stratosphere.
Okay, so it is the lower stratosphere. Okay, and typical airlines fly between 30 and 40,000 feet. So it's above a typical airline. So it would make sense if you are trying to prevent people from getting off planet. That's where you would locate them, is 60,000 feet. Actually, kind of impressive.
Yeah.
Course directly for Saturn now, Buck?
May as well.
Hey, Buck, look.
They fell for it, all right.
How can they fly that spaceship with no one in it?
We can direct all the aircraft from the control room until they reach the outer atmosphere.
Don't think we'll run into any more trouble. Why don't you take a nap, Wilma? I'll take the controls.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, Wilma, you've been piloting for almost 10 minutes, so it's time to let a man do it.
That was just rude, Buck.
Yeah. He's just looking out for the little lady. She might be tired after all that effort of, sitting down and flying the plane.
What's that up ahead? Looks like a gray wall.
That's the outer atmosphere of Saturn, buddy. It's 10 times denser than the air around the Earth.
That is a fast trip to get from the stratosphere to suddenly you are the outer wall of Saturn. I don't even think warp goes that fast.
I don't know. It depends. She took a nap. So how long has she been napping for? What's the in Enterprise? When they test out the Warp 5 engine, Neptune and back in 6 minutes was the tagline for that episode. So
okay, maybe they can move that fast.
Also, just on a graphic level, I like that little that crest on the side of the ship. It's kind of distinctive. Kind of reminds me of like Kirby art.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very much does. And just so we're clear, we're all talking about Jack Kirby, not a random Pokemon figure.
Or Josh Kirby, the cover artist for some of the Discworld novels.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's because when you go to a Comic-Con now, you hear people going, "Oh, Kirby," and they almost always mean a Pokemon thing, not Jack
yeah.
Kirby.
Oh, yeah. Or Kirby, the Smash Brothers character.
Right, right, yeah.
Yeah, the little pink dude.
Yeah. Well, the joke I saw going around was Kirby doesn't have any ankles because Goddess Athena wanted to make a perfect warrior without flaw, so she made Kirby.
All right, we got a few more minutes left here. So we're going to leave you all in suspense as we finish.
What was that?
I don't know.
I see the enemy ships have stormtrooper aim.
Well, Buck has plot armor.
Right.
And remember, that was only when they were escaping.
Right.
When they were escaping the Death Star. They killed a whole bunch of people at the beginning of that movie and Empire. So
that's true.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's two of Killer Kane's ships coming up fast behind us. Retarding rockets. If we enter that atmosphere at this rate of speed, the friction will burn us to a crisp. Look, they smashed some rockets. I can't fire them. Help me open the release valves in the oxygen tanks. If they explode, we'll be blown to atoms.
Buddy, take the controls.
The portholes are giving way, Black.
That's no use. The heat has melted the valve heads. Move, buddy.
There's only one hope for us. Climb above this atmosphere back into outer space.
looks like Buck's gonna crash again.
Yeah. Well,
he's consistent.
So, I mean, for those who don't know, the term cliffhanger literally comes from these movie serials where, they would leave somebody hanging on a cliff or whatever to get them to come back next week to see what happened. Unfortunately, we won't get to share with people what's going to happen. They'll have to watch the movie serial themselves, which all 4.5 hours of it are available on YouTube for those who wanted. But Chris, what did you think?
Well, I thought it was good. It definitely established a lot of the tropes we would see in later sci-fi. The effects were a little crude, but this is maybe 10 years after powered flight first began, and they're trying to figure out what space combat would look like. So I got to cut them a little bit of slack. That last couple of minutes really did have a good core of action. It's like, okay, there was a little bit too much exposition at the beginning. Like in our script and in the original Nolan novels, Buck is thrust into the action almost immediately. He doesn't have like an adjustment period. He doesn't get to see the culture. he shows up, he wakes up, he's groggy, and he's immediately fighting for his life.
Right. Yeah. Ben, what about you? What did you think?
I loved it. I mean, look, it's obviously going to be cheesier than much of the sci-fi entertainment we're used to today, but it's a nice window into like that time period. And are the effects cheesy by today's standards? Sure, but also like look at like this is the kind of stuff that you can now do with your own your own video equipment, stop motion stuff. Like there are people who set this stuff up in their home, but like it's just nice to see that window into the past. And like Chris said, you see all these tropes that we use today that we don't even think about anymore: the teleporter, the rocket ship, the hidden base, and all that stuff. And it just goes all the way back, and you get to kind of see this early incarnation of it.
And we just got a second backer, so thank you.
Thank you.
So that's I guess we have to do more of these and keep raising money that way.
I mean, hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
But this was, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I liked the miniatures that they used. I thought it was really cool. So yeah, I've got and yes, there are some cultural differences, and that's fine. It is what it is. You just acknowledge it and make your own. Well, in our case, we make our own version of it.
Right. Now we can make our own version of it.
Right.
So I agree completely. Like, and I mean, the sci-fi effects are cheesy, but it's also 1939.
Right.
Like, trying to figure out how to do sci-fi in 1939 must have been extra challenging. And it'd be interesting to compare this to like the 1936 Flash Gordon serial, which is the first, I think, one of the first sci-fi serials. I'd have to double check that to make sure, to kind of see even in 3 years how that changed. And maybe that's another watch along that we can do at some point, even though we're nowhere close to being able to make a Flash Gordon comic. Just so we're clear on that. But I thank you all, and thank you all for putting up with my technical difficulties. I appreciate that, and thank you for Verizon for going out when it rains. I very much appreciate that.
It's not a live stream if you don't have technical difficulties.
Right. It's a good thing we have the Green Archer World headquarters to serve as the backup site in a secret cave. But final thoughts, Chris. I will, as our resident author, I'll let you go first.
Well, this was an enjoyable stream. It was definitely something I'd not seen before. And like you had mentioned earlier, I like the fact they went intentionally away from the Yellow Peril racism of the original stories and made it kind of a more neutral, just like a super criminal. That was a smart choice on their part and kind of a smart choice on ours.
So what do you think, Chris? I know you don't have a lot of free time, but you're going to check out the rest of the serials to see where the story goes?
I think I will. I hope we do this again.
Oh, we absolutely will. We'll figure out a time. It was a big success. I know coordinating the three of our schedules is a challenge, but we'll see if we can do one more of these before the Kickstarter ends.
That'd be great.
Excellent.
Ben, parting thoughts besides back our campaign.
Obviously, back our campaign, back all of our campaigns. Go to the website, buy one of every comic or two if you want. But like I said, it's a really interesting window. I would definitely continue watching these. I would probably watch them at 1.5 speed, which is how I watch pretty much everything on YouTube. So if you're watching this back and you watch it at 1.5 speed, I completely understand. And I sound much smarter at 1.5 speed.
I think you sound smart no matter what. Thank you to all of you who tuned in at various points in times during the live stream. Really appreciate it. This is a first for us. Not only is it our first time doing this, but also our first time checking out StreamYard. So does seem we managed to get it working, live streaming to both YouTube and Instagram, which I'm pretty thrilled about. We just need to figure out how to get Blue Sky to enable streaming, and then we'll have the sort of the trifecta of I'm not live streaming to Facebook because
who would do that,
right? But again, thank both of you for your time today. I really appreciate it. And thanks everybody that's watching. And I'm going to end the stream. And as Ben said, clearly Ben wants this. Please back the campaign.
Obviously, just for me.
Just for Ben.
Exactly.
All right. Y'all take care. I'll see you later.
Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.